In a world facing unprecedented crises, the United Nations once stood as the beacon of global cooperation and peace. But today, its value is being questioned like never before. From humanitarian crises to international conflicts, the UN's influence seems to be waning. Is the United Nations still capable of maintaining global order, or has it become a bystander in the international arena? At the 2023 UN General Assembly, Secretary-General Antonio Guterres once again called for action on key global issues, climate change, conflict resolution, and economic inequality. But while his words were powerful, many world leaders were absent. In fact, the attendance of this year's assembly was strikingly low. This sent a clear signal. Many nations, even key players, are questioning the relevance of the United Nations. One of the key reasons behind the waning influence of the UN is geopolitical gridlock. Conflicts like the war in Ukraine have highlighted the deep divisions within the UN Security Council. With veto powers in the hands of nations like Russia, China, the US, and others, critical actions are often stalled. The Ukrainian crisis, the Syrian war, and the situation in Yemen are just a few examples of how this gridlock has paralyzed the UN's ability to respond effectively. Before we dive deeper into the challenges facing the United Nations, a quick reminder: more than 99% of our viewers are not yet subscribed to our channel. If you're interested in stories that dissect global affairs and explore the challenges shaping our world, hit that subscribe button. Your support helps us keep bringing you deep dives into the most pressing international issues. Despite the criticisms, some major nations, like the United States, still emphasize the importance of the UN. In fact, the US has reaffirmed its commitment to the institution. This shows that while the UN may be struggling, it remains an essential platform for multilateral negotiations on issues like climate change, human rights, and public health. But how can the UN regain its influence? Experts and world leaders alike are calling for reform. One of the most significant proposals on the table is to increase representation in the Security Council. Nations argue that the current structure is outdated and doesn't reflect today's geopolitical realities. A larger, more inclusive Security Council could allow for better responses to global conflicts, reducing the power of veto from a few dominant countries. In September 2023, the UN hosted the much-anticipated Summit of the Future, aimed at modernizing global governance. World leaders gathered to discuss how to make the UN more effective in dealing with 21st-century crises, such as pandemics, cyber attacks, and climate disasters. While some promising ideas were floated, skepticism remains. Will these reforms actually lead to action, or are they just empty promises? Adapting the UN to handle modern-day issues will be a monumental challenge. Whether it's reforming the Security Council, addressing economic disparities, or managing global health crises, the world needs a stronger, more effective United Nations. But the question remains, can the UN truly evolve, or will it continue to lose relevance in the face of mounting global crises? What do you think? Can the United Nations regain its influence on the world stage, or are we watching the decline of an institution that once shaped global order? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe for more insights into the challenges shaping our world.